Hello and welcome back to In Business Talks 2 Networking Nuggets, the podcast where we unlock the secrets to building powerful professional connections. I'm Ian.
And I'm Tracey. And together we've been running dynamic and engaging events for almost 7 years now. We've witnessed firsthand the incredible collaborations and lasting relationships that form when people come together. So whether it's online or face-to-face, our relaxed and informal networking events in Leeds, York, Harrogate, Wakefield and Wetherby are designed to create a no-pressure environment where meaningful connections can flourish.
In this episode, we'll share some of the most valuable insights we've gathered from our years of hosting these events. From unexpected partnerships to lifelong friendships, we've seen it all and can't wait to help you unlock the potential of your professional network. So, grab a cuppa, settle in and join us as we dive into another nugget of networking wisdom.
We're thrilled to have you with us on this journey. Whether you're a seasoned networker or you're just starting out, we promise you'll find something valuable in today's discussion. Let's get started and discover the magic that happens when business folk connect. In today's episode, we're diving into the common pitfalls that can trip you up in networking. So from awkward conversations to missed opportunities, we've got tips to help you stay on track and make the most of every interaction. There are common mistakes that we all need to avoid and that will help us to make the most out of our networking events.
Yeah, that's right. Networking can be daunting, especially if you're sort of naturally introverted or I've had sort of negative experiences in the past, but it's such a crucial skill for career growth and personal development.
And also for if you're running a business.
For growing a business especially, yeah.
Let's start by addressing the fear of networking. What do you think so many people are afraid of, Ian?
Well, personally, I think a lot of it comes down to fear of the unknown and, more importantly, fear of rejection.
Yeah.
When you're networking, if you think about it, you are putting yourself out there, and that can be quite intimidating. You might worry about not knowing what to say or what the other person or the other person won't be interested in what you have to offer. So it can be incredibly daunting.
Yeah, I think both of those fears are quite justified. And one way to overcome this fear is to reframe how you think about networking. So instead of seeing it as a daunting task, try to view it as an opportunity to learn and grow. Each conversation you have is a chance to gain some new insights or make a valuable connection. Yeah,
I mean, that's true. I mean, people do see it as daunting, but preparation can make a huge difference. I mean, before attending a networking event, one of the things we stress to people in part of our course is that do some research on the people who were there, if you can, potentially. I mean, you don't always have the list, so you can't always do that. But have a few conversation starters ready in your back pocket and think about what you want to achieve from the interaction as well. So be prepared is a good tip.
Yeah, and also I think we've said it before about knowing what type of event it is, so that you're prepared if you need to deliver an elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Or if there's more of a structured format, you know what's going to happen, so you are more prepared, aren't you?
And if you prepare in advance as well, it takes away some of the stress and the worry and fear. Yeah.
Another tip that we find is helpful is to start small. If large networking events feel a bit overwhelming, begin with smaller gatherings or even just like a one-to-one meeting with someone. It can help you build confidence over time, because you can't speak to everybody at the event, can you? And a lot of people can feel a bit overwhelming, especially if it's noisy.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing worse than walking into a room full of people. It can be quite daunting. And remember that it is okay to be nervous.
Yeah, most people are, aren't they?
Yeah, most people are, even if they don't show it. The key is to push through that initial discomfort and keep practicing.
Yeah, practice makes perfect. What about handling rejection? I think that's a biggie, isn't it? Because rejection is a natural part of networking. And not every interaction will lead to a meaningful connection, and that's okay, really.
Of course it is.
Yeah, and I think also when you work for yourself, when you have your own business, you take rejection a bit more personally. It's if you're an employee and you get rejected, you think, well, I'll still get my paycheck at the end of the month or whatever. But I think when it's your own business, you take it on board and it feels like a personal rejection.
Yeah, I think it is. It's definitely more personal when it's your business. It's a strange feeling, really. But it's important not to take rejection personally. I mean, often it's not about you, but it's about the timing. The timing might not be right for the client, or the circumstances might not be right, or the other person's priorities at that moment in time might not be, might be right.
Once strategy to handle rejection is to view it as a learning experience. So ask yourself what you can take away from the interaction. Maybe there's something that you can improve for next time, or perhaps you just weren't the right fit, because not everybody you meet is going to be somebody that you can do business with or somebody that you can collaborate with, are they?
Yeah. And don't forget, I know we have this fear of rejection, but don't be afraid to follow up. I know we've touched upon this before about the following up, but if someone doesn't respond to your, initial contact or outreach, it's okay to send a polite follow-up message. And often persistence can pay off, because it might not have been the right time or the circumstances, but you keep persisting, then you never know. It might just pay off, but it always pays to be respectful of the other person's time and boundaries as well. Yeah,
it might just be that they missed the email in their inbox, or they were away on holiday or something, and other stuff has got in the way.
People don't always respond instantly to your initial outreach there, do they? That's the thing.
No, but we mustn't forget the importance of self-care. Obviously, rejection, it can be tough, and like I said before, you take it personally, you take it on board. So just make sure you take care of yourself and surround yourself with those supportive people who will help you not to dwell on the negative. Yeah, you've got to keep positive as much as you can, really. Absolutely. Networking is a skill that does take time to develop as well. Bear that in mind. It's okay to make mistakes along the way. The important thing is to keep trying and to learn from each experience, I would suggest. Yeah, and I think more often than not, the experience will be positive rather than negative, but you just need to prepare yourself if that's the case. Shall we have a chat about another big common networking mistake, which is, especially for those people who are new to networking, although we have seen it on a number of occasions with people who've networked for a long time, and it's avoiding that sales pitch mentality and how to be a genuine connector. Yeah, we've seen it on numerous occasions where people, even experienced people at supposedly networking, try and sell their product and service. Like you said, they don't get it. Many people approach networking with a sales pitch mentality, which is wrong, thinking they need to sell themselves or their services, right from the start. But this can often be sort of off-putting and counterproductive. You're not there to sell. And it's so awkward when somebody comes up and starts pitching their product or service. You're not there for that. You don't want to listen. It seems so in your face, and it's a big turn-off, I think. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, networking we've said it before, we'll say it again. It's about building relationships. It's not just about making a sale. When you focus too much on pitching, you'll come across as a bit insincere and a bit false and just looking after yourself, really. Yeah, self-serving, yeah. One interesting reason to avoid the sales pitch mentality is that genuine connections are more likely to lead to long-term benefits, I've found. When you build a relationship based on trust, mutual interest and respect, you're more likely to create opportunities that are beneficial for both parties. I mean, for example, I once met a potential client at I think it was a conference, but instead of pitching my services immediately, I spent time getting to know them and understanding the challenges, and it was months later when I'd sort of completely forgotten about it, they reached out to me for a project because they remembered we had a genuine conversation. Yeah, people are more inclined to help and collaborate with those that they feel that genuine connection with, aren't they? So how can we shift from that sales pitch mentality to being a genuine connector? One good strategy is to sort of focus on listening rather than talking. Ask open-ended questions and show a genuine interest in the other person's experience and needs. This helps you understand how you can add value to their business or whatever. So that's useful. So make sure you listen more than you talk. I remember attending a networking event where I met someone who was just starting out networking, and they were sort of fairly new into their journey, but they felt they hadn't quite nailed their offering. And by listening and offering some fairly basic advice, I was able to help them. And she later thanked me via LinkedIn, and a message which says, "Thanks very much. It really helped to sort of clarify what she did." And it was all some fairly basic advice, but it just sparked that idea in her of what she should be saying or whatever. But I remember that. Yeah, she was very grateful. It's nice when that happens as well. If you help somebody like that without, it feels good. Yeah, it feels good. Yeah. Another tip is to be authentic, I suppose. Definitely. So share your experiences and challenges honestly. That authenticity, it goes a long way to building trust and making you seem more relatable. For instance, I once shared a story about being nervous when I first started networking and how I found it a bit nerve-wracking and how I overcame them nerves. But, it led to a deeper conversation with someone who faced similar challenges and we ended up offering each other support. So it was a good conversation.
And of course, I know we've mentioned this before, but it's so important. Don't forget to follow up. After your initial conversation, send some sort of personalised message to thank them for the time and mention something specific you discussed to prompt, to remind them. This shows that you were truly engaged and value the connection as well. So don't forget to do that.
Yeah, make sure you were listening.
Yeah.
Yes, it's also important to give without expecting anything in return, isn't it? Offering your help or sharing resources or making introductions that could benefit the other person. This generosity builds goodwill and it does strengthen your network. So always try to think, how can I help the person that I'm talking to?
Yeah.
I like to think of ways that I can connect people when I'm networking. And it's on a number of occasions I've introduced 2 contacts who I thought would benefit from knowing each other. They might have been in the same industry or they might have been in 2 totally different industries, but something that would complement each other. And they've either ended up collaborating together or working together, and they've both been really grateful for the introduction. So it's not easy at first to see those connections. It's like joining the dots in your head. But with practice and the more people you talk to, the easier it does become, doesn't it?
The more people you have conversations with, you remember things. So, good point there. I mean, being a genuine connector means thinking about how you can support others. It's not just how they can support you, it's how you can help others. The mindset shift can make a huge difference in your networking success. If you're always thinking about how can I help this person who I'm talking to, it makes a big difference. It's not all about you then.
And don't forget to be patient. Building these relationships does take time, Don't rush the process or expect immediate results. Trust that your efforts will pay off in the long run. Often it can be over a year or longer before you get a contact, whether you can find somebody to work together with. But just be patient. It does take time.
Yeah, it's networking, as they say, is a marathon and not a sprint.
Yep.
I mean, by avoiding the sales pitch mentality and focus on being a genuine connector of people, you'll create more meaningful and lasting professional relationships, you'll find. There'll be more quality in there,
Yeah, I suppose that leads us nicely on to the importance of giving before receiving when you're networking, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Many people approach networking with the mindset of what can I get out of this, particularly new people. But the most successful networkers understand that giving before receiving is key to building a strong, lasting relationship. It's so important that.
Yeah, and I think when you focus on giving, you create a foundation of trust and goodwill. People are more likely to want to help you if they see that you're genuinely interested in helping them first.
Yeah. I mean, again, an interesting reason to give before receiving is that it sets you apart from others as well sometimes. In a world where sort of many are focused on their own needs, being generous with your time, with your knowledge and resources can make you stand out. If you're offering help to people in any of these ways, then people will remember you.
Yeah, if you give in first, it helps to build a positive reputation. And when you're known as someone who's helpful and supportive, people are more likely to think of you, when opportunities arise, your name will be in the forefront of their mind.
Exactly. And let's not forget the old power of reciprocity. When you give, people naturally feel inclined to give back. It's a psychological principle that can work in your favour, and it's so true. I think the B&I saying is, givers gain, and that is so true.
Yeah.
The more you give, the more you get back.
Yeah, giving can take many forms as well, whether it's like sharing some knowledge or making an introduction or just offering some support, maybe a shoulder to cry on when things have all gone wrong. But the key is to be genuine and not to expect immediate returns. I mentioned this a little earlier. I introduced 2 contacts who I thought could benefit from knowing each other, and they ended up collaborating together, and they were both really grateful for the introduction.
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing in that for you, but you helped them, but they'll remember that, so it does pay dividends.
Hopefully they will. Hopefully they will.
Yeah. And giving before receiving also helps create a positive networking culture as well. When everyone adopts this sort of mindset, it fosters a community of support and collaboration, which benefits everyone. We all sort of rise together then, don't we?
And it's also important to remember that giving doesn't always have to be a grand gesture. So, you don't have to be giving massive bunches of flowers away or anything. Just small acts of kindness can also make a big impact. So maybe just like a thoughtful message or sharing a useful article or just simply offering a listening ear that can go a long way into building those strong relationships.
Yeah, so true, so true. I mean, you see this all the time with our networking fraternity from our members and everyone who attends our online and face-to-face events. Networking is about creating a web of sort of mutually beneficial relationships, and by focusing on giving first, you build a network that's based on trust, respect, and you get genuine connections as well by doing this.
Yeah, you certainly do. Yeah. Now, what about the value of quality over quantity?
Yeah. I think this applies to both attending large networking events with lots of people and also about the quality of connections they have as well over the quantity. I mean, many people think that the bigger the networking event they attend and the more connections they have, the better. But in reality, you can't talk to everyone at those large events, and it's the quality of your connections that truly matters.
Absolutely, yeah. Having a large network can be beneficial, but if those connections are shallow, then they won't be as valuable. It's much more effective to have like a smaller network of meaningful, strong relationships.
Exactly. I think the main reason to focus on quality over quantity is that deep connections are more likely to lead to genuine business opportunities.
Yeah, they are. And another reason to prioritise quality is that it allows you to build trust and rapport. And when you invest time in getting to know someone, you're more likely to create a relationship based on that mutual respect and understanding, aren't you?
Yeah. I think as well, let's not forget the importance of being memorable. When you focus on quality, you're more likely to leave a lasting impression. And also, having 10 great connections doesn't mean that's the extent of your network. Those 10 in turn will have their own network, so potentially through them you could be connected to 100 people or more.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, quality connections also mean that you can provide and receive more meaningful support. You can't service 100 connections, can you? But if you've got 10 really good people,
if you're looking after 10,
then you've got more chance of knowing those people individually and providing them with quality leads or support or whatever it is
tailored
that
advice,
they're looking
whatever
for,
it might be. Yeah. And they're more likely to do the same for you as well. And it's also important to remember that building quality connections does take time and effort. It's not just about collecting business cards or LinkedIn connections, but about nurturing relationships. Remember, as we like to say, the best business comes from the best relationships. And that is so true. I do like to say, but it's so true. So true.
It is. And focusing on the quality over quantity, it also helps prevent burnout. Trying to maintain a large network of superficial connections, it can be exhausting. So, you can't possibly go around having coffee with 20 people in a week after a networking event because you just don't have time. You're busy people who are running a business. You've got to factor in some time for following up and keeping those connections going. But if you've got 20, you'll be overwhelmed and you'll be exhausted, really.
Yeah, you will. Yeah.
So by focusing on like a smaller number of meaningful relationships, you'll be able to manage your time better and your energy, I suppose.
Yeah.
A lot more efficiently.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose networking is about creating like a web, isn't it, of mutually beneficial relationships. And certainly by focusing on quality over quantity, you will build a network that's based on trust, respect and genuine connections, and you'll not be all over the place trying to make everyone happy.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should also mention the crucial aspects of networking, the importance of building your personal brand.
Oh, yeah.
Your personal brand, it's essential for your reputation and how you present yourself to the world. It's what people think of you when they hear your name or what people say about you when you're not in the room, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
And it is a powerful tool in networking.
Absolutely. A strong personal brand can sort of set you apart from others and make you more memorable. It helps people understand who you are, what you stand for, what your values are, and what you bring to the table, in effect.
One interesting reason to focus on building your personal brand is that it creates consistency and it creates a professional image. Now, when people see you constantly presenting yourself in a certain way, that
Yeah,
again,
it does.
goes a long way to helping build that trust and credibility that we're looking to achieve.
Exactly, and that's what you want, isn't it? I mean, your personal brand also helps you attract the right opportunities as well.
Yeah.
When you clearly communicate your values, your skills and your passions, you're more likely to connect with people and opportunities that sort of align with you and your goals. You're attracting the right people with how you present yourself.
The right audience, isn't it? And then consequently probably the right clients as well. So we obviously can't forget the importance of authenticity, and this is, your personal brand should reflect your true self. You know, don't try and be somebody you're not, because people will suss you out. They will. When you're authentic, people will know, and it makes your interactions obviously more genuine and impactful. Yeah, just be yourself and don't try and be somebody.
Yeah,
that
don't
you're
try
not.
and fake it till you make it. I don't think that works. People want to see the true you, don't they, really, I think?
Yeah, they do. Warts and all.
Yeah.
You've got a few of them.
I've got
you,
one,
love?
thanks to you. Yeah. Another key aspect of building your personal brand, of course, is visibility. It's important to be active and present in your networking community. This could be through social media, attending events, or maybe even contributing to discussions as well. The more visible you are, the more people will recognise and remember you. And also, I suppose, in your industry or sector as well, the same things still applies.
Yeah, that consistency is crucial. I mean, your personal brand should be consistent across all your platforms and all your interactions, so that you've got a cohesive message and image, you know, whether that's in person or online. Don't necessarily people need to see you or hear you or see something about you several times before they make an inquiry if they want your services. You know, it's all, the more you can put yourself out there and the more you can be consistent with all those messages, then you've got a better chance of being contacted by people and get to know people.
Yeah, definitely. And building your personal brand involves continuous learning and growth. Stay updated with industry trends, try and develop new skills, and be open to any feedback, because feedback's important. People telling you how you are coming across, that's also really useful. This not only enhances your brand, but also shows that you are committed to personal and professional development as well. So talk to people.
Yeah, we've said it before. Networking is about creating this web of mutually beneficial relationships, and that strong personal brand can significantly enhance your networking efforts. You know, it helps you stand out, it helps you to build trust, and like we said, attract the right connections.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Attract the right connections. Okay, then. We've got our guest coming up shortly, but before we bring our guest in, let's give our listeners a quick challenge, shall we? Tracey, what's the one actionable step you think they can take right now to avoid the pitfalls we've mentioned?
Oh, let's have a think. Maybe take a moment to review your recent networking interactions and identify one area where you're struggling, whether it's with the follow-up, whether it's focusing on quality, or whether it's building your personal brand, and then take one step towards improving that bit that you're struggling with. It could be sending a follow-up email, it could be updating your LinkedIn profile, or just planning a coffee meeting with the contact that you've been neglecting, maybe.
Yeah, good advice there, I think. Sound advice. And for those of you sort of tuning in today, don't forget to subscribe to Networking Nuggets. Leave us a review and share this podcast with your friends. We love hearing your thoughts and experiences.
Okay, so welcome to our guest today. We have Chris Mitchell with us of Chris Mitchell Coaching. Welcome, Chris.
Welcome, Chris.
Hey, Tracey. Hey, Ian.
Good to see you today. Thank you for joining us. And before we start, I suppose what we should do is ask you to tell us a little bit more about what you do, Chris.
I'm Chris of Chris Mitchell Coaching. I'm a leadership and executive coach working with people in large corporates or those trying to find direction in their careers. I work as a business advisor and mentor, working with startups and SMEs. And then I also sit on 2 boards as a non-exec director, where I get the opportunity to advise people what they should do with their businesses.
Excellent. Sound like a very busy person there, Chris. Yeah. Very busy. Excellent.
So in this podcast, we've been talking about sort of the pitfalls that can trip people up with networking. So if it's all right, we're going to ask you a few questions.
Yeah, we know you're a seasoned networker now, don't we? Yeah.
And we think that you've had some benefit from networking. So how can somebody overcome the fear of networking? I mean, I know probably when you started, well, when we all start, we've got this sort of fear of walking into that room. Is there anything that you could recommend, though, that you did maybe to overcome that fear?
Yeah, how did you feel and what did you do to sort of,
Yeah, sure. I think, first of all, for me, it's understanding why you are going. If you're clear on the reason, even if you're worried or feel the fear about going, if you can articulate in your own mind the reason why you're doing it, it makes it easier to push yourself through that feeling. I would advise anyone to get over the fear to go early to any event. The reason is that if you go early and you're the first or one of the first there, anybody else who arrives has to come to you, which makes it much easier than having to go to them. With going early, I would also advise going alone to get over the fear. That might sound counterintuitive, but when you go with another person that you know, you tend to lean into them for support because it's your comfort zone. So it can actually leave you in a more secure place if you go just as yourself, just on your own, and hopefully the fear that you have will evaporate quickly. What also helped me was assuming that everyone else in the room is feeling nervous, just like me, or fearful. When you assume that, actually, it's very grounding, kind of thinking that actually everyone feels the same way, and that's normal.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Even people who are seasoned networks, I think, when you go into a room for the first time, you don't know people, you still get that feeling in the pit of your stomach. You still get that adrenaline rush or whatever it is. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's still something that I feel now, even though I've been doing it for over 2 years.
Yeah.
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 We still feel it sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. It's surprising. Yeah. That's human nature, I think.
The final thing that I would say is everybody is there to connect. They've spent the time to go because they want to meet other people, regardless of what that connection is. So people are open and they're investing their time to make connections, and that connection can be with you. So seeing that they're there to get value out of talking with you can also be a powerful way to get over the fear of networking.
Yeah. Some good stuff there, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly
All
why
true.
everybody's going, isn't it? So, so what was the turning point, Chris, that made you realise the power of networking?
There were a few things that happened for me when I realized that there were two things that happened. One was realizing that the opportunities weren't necessarily in the room, but the real value and benefit came for those opportunities from the wider connections, the people that know someone else. One of the biggest opportunities that I have had in my business journey so far was meeting someone at a networking event who then we had a follow-up coffee with and a lemonade on a hot summer's day. They posted about us connecting, and from that it's led to some of the most valuable connections I have and a major piece of work that I've been delivering. They weren't a client, they weren't initially in the room, but those wider connections have really been the game-changing thing that have impacted my business.
Yeah. So it's a powerful thing, networking, isn't it?
Very powerful. It's the social capital that you build from the novel connections that either you don't have or that people have once removed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is then simply the power comes from the quality of the connections that you make. I have genuine friendships from the people that I've met from networking, and those friendships are something that make the journey of being in business a lot more fun, a lot more fulfilling, and just help to continue with the support of those people to keep going. So the opportunity is to connect with those people who are wider than that in the room and the friendships that you make along the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. We've asked everybody that question, and there's been a little bit of variety on the answers, but mainly I think that's the crux of it, isn't it?
I think the power of networking is not the people in the room, it's the people they know.
Yeah.
And once you realise that, it becomes so much easier, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, agree totally. So what are some sort of strategies then that you use to maintain authenticity and avoid being sort of pushy? You know, nobody likes the pushy salesman type thing. So what is it that you do to avoid all that? So you're still promoting yourself, but you're not, not in the face. How do you do that?
Mm-hmm. I really try not to sell. When I first started networking, I felt like I was trying to find the clients in the room, and I realized that I was less relaxed and not myself. So now I try and assume that I'm not necessarily going to find a client at that event, but actually I can talk about what I'm doing, I can inform, and I can tell the stories around myself and my business, which is more engaging, it's more authentic, and it's also more human. And not focusing on the outcome of sales or growing my business allows you to focus on other outcomes, like increasing the number of LinkedIn connections, or perhaps meeting someone who might add value to my business, not as a client, but perhaps someone in marketing who I can refer clients to. Maybe someone can give me an idea or suggest something that I'd not thought about myself, or even just share a perspective that I might not have. So focusing on other outcomes versus that of selling helps me stay more authentic, because I'm not overly focused on getting a singular outcome from the event.
Yeah, agree. I mean, one of the worst things you can do at a networking event is try and sell. And I've seen it before. I've seen people come armed with brochures and leaflets, and they rush around the room with the business cards, thrust them in your face and the brochures, and I do this, I do that, and then rush off to the next person. And I can almost guarantee, I reckon no one ever buys from anyone at a networking event like that. You think, hang on, push this, and you just immediately switch off. So you're right. I agree. You just be yourself and talk to people and listen. Yeah.
And like you say, tell those stories of how you have helped people, and then they'll realise your value, won't they?
Yeah. Cool. All right. Final. This, I suppose, this is me trying to find out why people network. So my question is, if you were to boil it down and take it to its lowest common denominator, what is your actual reason for networking? Why do you network?
I network because at the moment I run my business alone, and it's really clear that you cannot be successful on your own. You need to be connected, and you need to be part of something bigger than yourself. So if you can drop the assumption about selling and growing your client base, the reason I go networking and why I find value in it and continue to invest the time is because it really adds value to me being connected to something more than just myself on my own.
Yeah. That's a good answer.
Nice answer.
Yeah, excellent answer. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, being part of something bigger.
Yeah, which is what it is, really, isn't it? It's, as I say, and everyone rises together. Really, if one, if you're helping people and they're helping you, everybody rises together. So it's nice, isn't it? It's good. It's good.
It is. Great
Excellent.
stuff. Lovely. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Chris. That was really insightful.
Some
and
great
helpful.
tips there as well, folks, if you were listening as well. Some good tips there from Chris.
Do you mean if they were listening? Bloody listening.
Well, if you're not switched off or anything. Or
what are you trying to say? Will you zip it?
I'll edit that bit.
Dear. Anyway, thank you, Chris, for joining us today.
No problem.
Hopefully we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thanks, Chris. Bye.
Bye-bye. So thank you very much for joining us today. We hope you're feeling more aware of the common pitfalls in networking and you're ready to avoid them. Remember, it's all about building genuine, lasting relationships. We can't stress that enough. So join us next time as we discuss leveraging your network for opportunities, how to turn those connections into collaborations, how to find new clients, and how to unlock new career possibilities.
Yeah, so if you're wanting to know more about networking, then check out our downloadable networking know-how course. Whether you're new to networking or simply looking to improve your skills, our expert guidance will take you through the process and provide you with practical tips and techniques to help you make meaningful connections.
And by the end of the course, you'll feel comfortable and confident reaching out to others. You'll feel confident making small talk and creating valuable relationships. You'll learn how to network like a pro, and you'll leave the course with a whole new level of confidence, ready to build your professional network and reach your goals.
Yep, it's broken down into 8 easily digestible sections in which you'll learn things like the benefits of networking. You'll understand why you're networking. You'll know how to set goals and objectives. You'll know how to introduce yourself. You'll know how to start and end a conversation. And you'll know about following up, plus some surprises too. So the details will be in the show notes.
Yeah. Until then, keep networking and building those relationships. And remember, together,
we are in business.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.